9 weirdest borders of the world which you would like to visit right away. The Earth is defined by borders. Borders between continents, countries, states, and towns. It's how we make sense of the world and how we govern it. While most borders seem to make sense, there are a few places across the globe where boundaries get a little funky. With geographic confusion to time zone issues to flashy performances, we, at Smart is the New Sexy, collected the 9 weirdest borders of this world. As usual, at the end of this video, there's a bonus waiting specially for you that will tell you what Mount Everest has to do with this topic. Stay with us. 9. Barrel-Hertog, Baron-Nassau. On the border of Belgium and the Netherlands lies 2 towns that are, quite literally, inextricably linked. The Belgian town of Barrel-Hertog and the Dutch town of Baron-Nassau are essentially one town comprising a series of enclaves, that is, territory belonging to one governing body surrounded by land belonging to another governing body, meaning that some pockets of the town are Belgian and some pockets are Dutch. The borders are marked by a series of white plus signs drawn through the streets, with B and NL indicating which country is on which side. The borders go right through homes, restaurants, and more. Why did this mess happen? It goes back to a series of complex land agreements in medieval times. 8. Cooch Behar District. The border between Bangladesh and India in the Cooch Behar district has a similar problem as Barrel-Hertog and Baron-Nassau. There are enclaves galore, the most notable of which was an Inception-like series of enclaves, in which an Indian enclave and Bangladesh surrounds a Bangladeshi enclave, which in turn surround another Indian enclave. But, in 2015, India ceded the third-order enclave to Bangladesh, so today there is only a Bangladeshi enclave inside an Indian enclave inside Bangladesh. Much simpler, right? 7. Liberty Island. Ah, the Statue of Liberty. An emblem of New York. Well, that's somewhat debatable. Lady Liberty is perched on Liberty Island, which technically sits in New Jersey's waters, making the island part of New Jersey. But a special agreement between New York and New Jersey gives New York control of the island, though taxes go to New Jersey and Jersey City supplies electricity to the island. 6. The Diomede Islands. Situated in the middle of the Bering Strait, the 2 Diomede Islands, Russia's Big Diomede and the US's Little Diomede, straddle the international dateline. So, even though the 2 islands are only 2.4 miles apart at their closest points, they are in vastly different time zones, with a 21-hour difference. Thus, Big Diomede has earned the nickname Tomorrow Island, while Little Diomede is referred to as Yesterday Isle. 5. Bir Tawil and Halaib Triangle. Between Egypt and Sudan lies an 800 square mile region called Bir Tawil, which is not claimed by any country, and next to it is the Halaib Triangle, a region claimed by both Egypt and Sudan. These areas came into existence due to an unusual border situation. The political border between Egypt and Sudan was defined in 1899, and it differs from the country's administrative border, which was established in 1902. Somehow, both borders excluded Bir Tawil, and the land remains unclaimed today. But the dual borders gave both countries claim over the Halaib Triangle. The political border gives the land to Egypt, while the administrative border gives it to Sudan. 4. Haskell Free Library and Opera House, Derby Line, Vermont. When an American and a Canadian want to open a library and opera house together, what better place to put it than right on the border between the US and Canada? That is exactly what happened in Derby Line, Vermont. The Haskell Free Library and Opera House is the only library in the world that serves 2 countries at once, and, in case you were wondering, visitors don't need to show a passport to enter. That being said, visitors cannot use the library and opera house to cross between the countries. They can only enter, either use the library or see a show at the opera house, then return to their starting country. 3. Wagah Border. There's nothing geographically unusual about the Wagah border between Pakistan and India, but it's the site of a unique border closing ritual. Each day, 2 hours before sunset, Pakistan Rangers and the Indian Border Security Force conduct a dance-like drill that ends with the simultaneous lowering of the country's flags. The ceremony draws a large number of tourists each day. 2. Tumen River. The Tumen is a river in northeastern Asia, in an area near the coast on the border between Russia and North Korea, just to the south of Lake Khasan. The Tumen snakes down between Russia and North Korea and is actually in Chinese territory. Thus, in this area, you can start off in North Korea, and just by walking north for less than half a mile, you will pass through China and end up in Russia. Although, that might not be a good idea. It's a common place for North Koreans to attempt to defect, and for that reason, it is heavily patrolled by North Korean soldiers. 1. Korean Demilitarized Zone. The Korean DMZ is a strip of land about 160 miles, or 258 kilometers long, and 2.5 miles, or 4 kilometers wide, dividing North and South Korea. It is the most heavily militarized border in the world. Because it is so heavily guarded and almost nobody ever enters it, it has inadvertently created a nature preserve. A number of highly endangered species have taken up residence there, and there are indications that some of them may even be increasing in population. The DMZ is also notable in that it does not delineate a border per se, rather it surrounds a military demarcation line, or MDL. A border between these two Koreas cannot be formally agreed upon, as the two nations are technically still at war. A ceasefire was agreed on in 1953, but there has never been an actual peace treaty. Bonus: Mount Everest. What's Mount Everest doing on this list, you may ask? Everyone knows, of course, that it's the tallest mountain in the world, but what a lot of people don't know is that the border of Nepal and China goes right through the middle of the mountain, including the peak itself, making it not just the highest mountain, but also the highest border area. Are you aware of any other weird borders? Probably you have visited some. We would be glad to hear about your experience in the comments section below the video. Remember to click subscribe to be among the smart and sexy.